Most people spend years training without understanding this. They chase size without understanding which specific proportions create the look they are actually after. They build muscle without building the muscles that matter most for the visual outcome they want. The result is a body that is bigger than when they started, and still does not look the way they imagined it would. This is the three-phase plan that fixes that. Built around the specific ratios that create an aesthetic physique, executed in the order that produces results as fast as realistically possible. The formula. What actually makes a physique look aesthetic? Before the phases, you need to understand what you are building toward. Because aesthetic training is not random, it is ratio-driven. And once you understand the ratios, the exercises and the priorities become obvious. There are three ratios that determine whether a physique looks aesthetic. The shoulder-to-waist ratio. This is the foundation of the V-taper. The wider the shoulders and the tighter the waist, the more dramatic the taper looks, even at relatively low body weight. You do not need to be huge to have a strong V-taper. You need wide shoulders and a controlled waist. The neck-to-trap ratio. This is the one most people completely miss. A well-developed neck and upper traps frame your entire upper body. They make your jawline look sharper, your shoulders look broader, and your physique look complete rather than unfinished. Most people who train seriously have shoulders, chest, and arms. Almost nobody directly trains their neck. And the difference between a physique that looks boyish and one that looks genuinely masculine is often this single area. The upper chest to mid-torso ratio. When the upper chest sits high and full and the mid-torso stays tight, the entire upper body looks lifted, three-dimensional and proportional. A flat upper chest and a soft midsection create the opposite effect regardless of how developed everything else is. Three ratios, three phases. Each phase addresses one of them directly. Ds 1. Build the foundation. Neck, traps, A and D, upper chest. This is where 80% of your visual transformation comes from. Most people skip it entirely, which is exactly why most people never look truly aesthetic regardless of how long they train. The neck and traps frame everything above them. They are the first thing the eye moves toward when evaluating a physique from the front. And they are almost universally undertrained, not because the exercises are hard, but because nobody talks about them. Start with neck training. Approach this with more care than any other movement in your program. The neck is a delicate structure and responds poorly to ego loading. Control is everything here. Neck extension. Lie face down on a bench with your head hanging off the edge. Slowly lift your head upward, hold briefly at the top, and lower with complete control. No weight to start. 10 to 15 reps, 3 sets. Neck flexion, flip over. Same principle, opposite direction. Bring your chin toward your chest, lower with control. 10 to 12 reps, 3 sets. Warm up thoroughly before either movement, slow rotations, light stretches. Neck injuries are serious and avoidable. 2 to 3 sessions per week. Add reps before adding weight. For traps, dumbbell shrugs, or even filled water bottles if that is what you have available. Pull your shoulders straight upward, hold for 1 full second at the top, lower slowly. 12 to 15 reps, 3 sets. That thick collar area between your neck and shoulders, this is what builds it. For upper chest, feet elevated push-ups. Hands on the floor, feet on a bench or box at 18 to 24 inches. This angle directly targets the upper chest and anterior deltoids. Lower your chest slowly over 3 to 4 seconds. Let it stretch fully at the bottom. That lengthened position under tension is the primary growth stimulus. Press back up with control. 3 sets of 8 to 12. 2 to 3 sessions per week on this phase. Most people skip it. Do not be most people. 2. The aesthetic details. Forearms, A and D waist. This is where the physique starts looking genuinely sharp rather than just muscular. Forearms are one of the strongest aesthetic signals a physique can send, and they are visible every time you are not wearing long sleeves. A well-developed forearm makes the entire arm look more complete, more functional, more proportional. Most programs treat forearms as an afterthought. They should not be. Forearm curls. Seated. Forearm resting on your thigh, palm facing up. Curl the wrist upward slowly, lower slowly. 12 to 15 reps, 3 sets. This builds the underside of the forearm, the belly that is visible from the side and front. Reverse curls, same movement, palm facing down. This builds the top of the forearm, the extensor muscles that most people never directly train. 10 to 12 reps, 3 sets. The combination of both movements develops the forearm from every angle. Most people only do one or neither. The visual difference between trained and untrained forearms on an otherwise similar physique is dramatic. For the waist is controlled more through caloric management than through direct training. No amount of core work overrides a caloric surplus, but direct core training tightens the musculature that holds the waist in. Planks. 30 to 45 seconds held with full body tension, glutes squeezed, core braced like absorbing a punch, body in a perfectly rigid line. This is not a duration contest. It is a tension exercise. 30 seconds of maximum tension outperforms 2 minutes of sagging form. For caloric management, a slight deficit, roughly 300 to 500 calories below maintenance, creates the waist tightening that makes the V-taper visually dramatic. Without controlling calories, training the shoulders wider simply makes a wider body without the ratio improving. The waist has to come in as the shoulders go out. 3. Build the taper. Shoulders and lats. This is the phase most people jump to first, and it is the phase that produces the least visual impact when the foundation and details from phases 1 and 2 are not in place. Wide shoulders and developed lats create the V-taper, but they only look dramatic when the neck and traps above them are developed and the waist below them is tight. Build phases 1 and 2 first. Then this phase produces the full visual effect it is capable of. For shoulders, 3 movements covering all 3 delt heads. Pike push-ups for the front deltoids. Get into a push-up position and walk your feet toward your hands until your hips are high and your body forms an inverted V. Lower your head toward the floor slowly, press back up with control. 10 to 15 reps, 3 sets. As this becomes manageable, elevate your feet to increase the difficulty and shift the angle more toward vertical. Lateral raises for the side deltoids, the muscle most responsible for shoulder width. Use dumbbells or water bottles. Raise to shoulder level with control, tilt the pinky slightly upward at the top for maximum contraction, lower slowly over 3 to 4 seconds. 12 to 15 reps, 3 sets. Rear delt flies for the rear deltoids. Slight forward lean at the hip, arms hanging down. Lift them out and back like wings. Not swinging. Not using momentum. Hold briefly at the top. 10 to 12 reps, 3 sets. This completes the shoulder development and pulls the shoulders back into the position that makes the entire upper body look wider from the front. For lats, pull-ups are the most effective movement available. Full dead hang at the bottom, chest to bar at the top, 5-second controlled descent. If pull-ups are not yet accessible, inverted rows under a table with a straight body line build toward them. 3 sets of as many clean reps as possible. Training structure and nutrition. Run a push-pull leg split, cycling twice per week. Push day covers chest, shoulders, and triceps. Pull day covers back and biceps. Leg day covers legs and core. 6 training days, each muscle group trained twice. This is the frequency that produces the fastest proportional development. The non-negotiable progression rule. Add a rep, add a set, or add weight every single week. If the numbers stay the same, the physique stays the same. Progressive overload is the mechanism through which all training produces results. For nutrition, the simplest framework that works. Protein at 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight, this is what builds the muscle the training is signaling for. Calories at a slight surplus to gain or slight deficit to cut, depending on where your proportions need to move. Carbohydrates fuel the training that makes progressive overload possible. Dietary fats support hormone production, including the hormones that drive muscle growth and recovery. Get the protein right and the calories controlled. Everything else is detail. 3 phases. Each addresses one of the 3 ratios that determine whether a physique looks aesthetic. Phase 1 builds the neck, traps, and upper chest, the foundation that frames everything else and that most people completely skip. Phase 2 develops the forearms and controls the waist, the details that create sharpness and make the V-taper visually dramatic. Phase 3 builds the shoulders and lats, the taper itself, which lands with full impact when the foundation is in place beneath it. None of these phases is optional. Skip one, and the proportions fall apart. Build all three, and the visual result is a physique that looks significantly more impressive than the sum of its parts. Not because it is the largest physique in the room, but because every ratio is pointing in the right direction simultaneously. That is what an aesthetic physique actually is. Not maximum size, maximum proportion. If this gave you a clearer picture of what you are actually building toward and how to get there, subscribe. Because every week we break down the specific training and nutrition principles that produce the aesthetic results most programs chase without ever quite reaching. Drop a comment, which of the three ratios is your biggest weak point right now? The shoulders, the waist, or the neck and traps? See you in the next one.